that is a great picture. You all did super.
Look familiar, Shannon?
It certainly does. But you're missing the table.
Say again?
It was unimportant. I just said you're missing the table.
Are you sure?
That does not classify as a table. Okay, Alpha Endeavor Houston, are you ready for the event?
We're ready, go ahead.
JSC PAO, this is Houston. Please call Alpha Endeavor for a voice check.
Brent and Shep aboard the station. This is Kyle in Houston. How do you hear me?
Oh, we got you loud and clear, Kyle.
Okay, Mark Carroz's here in Houston with about 2 or 3 questions, and then we'll go to KSC. Go ahead, Mark.
Thanks, Mark Carroz from the Houston Chronicle. My question is to Bill Shepard. Could you tell us how pleased you are with the development of the space station at this point? Are you kind of where you hoped you would be at this time?
Well, if you look at the number of flights that have had to take place before Sergei, Yuri, and I could get up here and move on board and start hooking things up, it's been a pretty fantastic run of great shuttle missions, and having Endeavor with us this week has just been part of that. It's been, I thought that it would be a lot tougher than it was, and these guys have done a super job.
Looking ahead just a little bit, could you discuss the milestones that your team on the station needs to accomplish before the lab gets to the station, presumably in January?
Well, I think the biggest things that we've got left are basically cleanup from having P6 aboard, which is the solar power array, making sure that the gyros are happy, that are keeping us, we're going to keep us lined up after we can control them when the lab's here. That's the main thing we've got left.
Okay. I get a third question. So this morning when the station crew went aboard the shuttle to look at the new array, who was the first to see it, and what did they say when they looked out the window?
I think Yuri was the first, so I'll let Yuri answer what he said. It was great to meet friends in space. It's looking nice.
Okay, thanks, guys. That's it from JSC. Stand by for a voice check from Kennedy PAO.
Alpha Endeavor, this is KSC PAO. How do you read us?
Loud and clear.
This is Marcia Dunn of the Associated Press with a question for Commander Shepard. Ever since you've been up there, the news has been full of never-ending election coverage, and are you keeping track of all that up there? Do you wish you had more news on what's going on in this drawn-out election? Do you feel sort of isolated in this regard?
Well, actually, I'm kind of glad we've been in space for
I'm kind of glad we're missing.
We get pretty good coverage of the news of the day through Houston. We've been keeping track of it, but as I say, I'm glad I'm kind of out of it.
This is Phil Chen of Earth News for Mike Bloomfield. Bill Reeves told us yesterday that the ICBC is not working, so any disappointment on your part that you're not going to get to or need to do your pitch-up maneuver tomorrow when you undock from the space station that you've trained so long for?
Well, my understanding is right now is that there's still enough spots for us to do the fly around, even though we won't be doing the maneuver to capture the IMAX picture, and I'm really looking forward to it. I mentioned a couple of days ago when we joined up with the International Space Station, as you looked out the window, everything is kind of a gray or a white or a black color, and when we put out the huge solar arrays are a brilliant gold-orange color. And so tomorrow when we undock and do the fly around and we get up on top of the International Space Station, I'm really looking forward to being able to look down on the International Space Station and see that the new colorful arrays along with the rest of the station silhouetted against the blueness of the Earth. It should be a tremendous picture.
This is Mike Cabbage with the Orlando Sentinel, and my question's for Commander Shepard. You guys have been up in orbit for more than a month now, and I just wanted to ask how everybody was getting along and if you guys were satisfied with the support you've been getting from the ground.
I think that the team, Sergei, Yuri, and I, we've had certainly a challenging several weeks. We're getting along great. It's kind of hard on the ground sometimes to appreciate what we're doing on board and vice versa. I think it's a tremendous, to the tremendous credit of the team, both in Moscow and Houston, that we've gotten done as much as we have. I think it's easy to second guess and say, well, things could have gone better, but I think the progress has been really outstanding, and I'm hoping it's going to get a lot better.
Stefano Coledan with UPI and Popular Mechanics for Commander Shepard. Now that you've been up there for a month, what are the things that you found easier and what are the things that you found harder about living on the space station?
Well, I think the hard question's probably the easiest one to answer, and that is being away from home, family, and friends is kind of tough. It's not really in our experience to do a lot of long-duration flight, although that's certainly in our future. I think the easiest thing is just to grab a procedure and some tools and get with Sergei, Yuri, and get something done during the day. It's very enjoyable to get heads down and get focused on doing things. And we've been doing a lot of that for the months we've been here.
This is Brad Liston from Reuters with another question for Commander Shepard. The command structure on the space station with a commander of one nation and a crew from another nation, how is that working out? Has it been as effective as it has been diplomatic, and would you foresee any modifications in it?
Well, I from a personal standpoint, I think that the model that people have had for ships and commander ships is a good one for space station. I think certainly the international flavor of what we're doing puts a lot of different dimension on that. I think we're trying to feel our way through it and give a good product during our flight and also for the folks on the ground. I'm very conscious of trying to be even-handed about what's the right way to do something, and we'll just have to wait till the flight's over till folks can really judge that appropriately. But I'd be happy to pass the mic to Sergei or Yuri if they want to say how they think it's going. My opinion that it's going really well. We have a relatively small crew on the station, and we have a lot of things to do, so everyone doing his best to have the job done. So we are working as a team. There is no even kind of split of responsibility. If someone has a problem, we all together are going to help to perform this task. And I think it doesn't matter which place you are from. We have to work together like one giant team, and we try to do it.
This is Steve Sisloff, Florida Today for Commander Shepard. I'm wondering if you hope or expect the name Alpha to last past your crew.
Well, we'll see. We were talking to Administrator Golden this morning early, and he was addressing us as Alpha Station, so I think it's going to stick.
This is Stephen Young with SpaceflightNow.com. It's always been said that, sorry, this is a question for Commander Shepard. It's always been said that the first few weeks aboard the space station was going to be a learning experience, and I'm wondering what you would say have been the lessons learned in this first month of occupation.
I would say patience, terpenia in Russian. We have got to really be patient about commands and directives that come from the ground, things that we tell the ground that we need or need to have done, and I think that's been the biggest lesson for me in being up here for 5.5 weeks of space operations.
Todd Halverson of Space.com for Brent Jett. I was wondering whether your crew had been notified that one of two NASA standard initiators failed to fire on one of the aft struts attaching the left-hand solid rocket booster to the external tank on your flight, and what might have happened if the backup pyro charge had also failed to fire and separate that strut.
We haven't been told any of that, so it's difficult for me to comment on without seeing all the data. Obviously, we have redundancy in critical systems for a reason, and this is one of the times when we relied on that redundancy if the report is correct. So I'd have to wait to make any further comments once I get back and actually see the data in the report.
Bill Harwood, CBS News. I guess for Commander Shepard once again. I guess I was wondering, when we listen to Air to Ground, of course, we listen to translators here in America, and it has sounded on numerous occasions that your need for patience has been severely tested, at least in the sense that when you've discussed the flight plan being overbooked or oversubscribed for certain tasks. I mean, it's hard for me to tell if that's a translation issue all the time or if it really is that bad in terms of how things are getting scheduled, and I just wondered if you could shed a little light on that.
I think the schedulers are working into a regime where they're getting to know each other and how each other's system works. I think everybody had really high ambition for our time, our first time on station, to get a lot done, and we're certainly trying to salute that as best we can. We've been pretty busy cowboys, and we've expressed that to the ground, and the ground's modified the schedule. The schedule's still not perfect. We're having some really long days once in a while, but it is getting better, and we had a great day today. We got through a lot of stuff that first thing in the morning we didn't think we were going to be able to handle. So I think it's a learning curve, and everybody's on it right now.
This is Marcia Dunn of the Associated Press with another question for Commander Shepard. Besides family and friends, what have you missed the most during your station stay, and what's the one thing you enjoyed the most that the Endeavour crew brought to you?
I think I enjoyed, I got some tools and a letter from my wife. I enjoyed that. And the thing I missed the most outside of family is my dog.
His dog.
Stefano Coledan, UPI and Popular Mechanics again. Commander Shepard, have you had any free time until now to enjoy your stay up there?
I'm going to say it's been limited at best.
This is Phil Chen of Earth News. Let me follow up on Stefano and Bill's questions, actually to Sergei. How would you compare the pace of the work aboard space station in comparison with your long-duration Mir missions and your short-duration shuttle missions? And you think that the pace is too hard, that you should have more time to have free time so you can relax?
We don't have much free time right now, but as Shep said, it's learning curve. It's learning curve not only for the crew, but also for the ground. Talking about schedule, it's not because people overbook. They just estimate time to perform some task wrong. And that's a learning experience, and I think right now, working with different systems on the station, we prepare station for subsequent crews. So I think these two curves should mesh at some point. We make our job and job of subsequent crew easier, and the ground is learning more how to operate on the station. And as for pace, in compare with Mir flight, some days are very similar, some days are scheduled more tight, some of them less. So it's, in average, it's, I would say, a little more than Mir, because on Mir, my first mission I flew was Mir 4 mission, and this is the first mission, and obviously the first mission should be more difficult than subsequent.
Steve, Stanislaus, Florida today. This is for Commander Jett. During the first spacewalk, of course, you had your hands full with the systems. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about how it felt after the spacewalk was over and when you reflected on that day.
Well, I think everybody was pretty tired. It was a long day for the guys outside, and also a pretty long day for the three of us inside. The tricky part about going EVA with a crew of 5 is the 3 folks who are left inside if you're going to perform a critical task, you need, two people to do that task. You want a primary person and someone backing them up so you don't make a mistake. With only 3 people, you're limited to doing critical tasks serially, and that presented a little bit of a challenge to us on the EVA-1. So we were going pretty good inside, just like Joe and Carlos were working hard outside, and when we finally got them out of their suits and everybody cleaned up at the end of the night, we were very tired when we went to bed.
Mike Cabbage with the Orlando Sentinel for the spacewalkers, Joe Tanner and Carlos Noriega. I just wanted to ask if you guys were surprised by how easily the repair job went yesterday.
I'd say we might have been a bit surprised that we got it on the first try. We had studied the work that the folks on the ground had done, a tremendous amount of work to get ready for that, and we knew exactly what they wanted us to do. Had studied video and looked at the procedure over and over. So I was going into it expecting to be successful, and then said that I told Brett I'd be overjoyed if we got it on the first try. So I guess I was overjoyed twice, because it really did work just exactly like they predicted it would. I'll let Carlos say something too. I'm not sure how much more to add. We knew that they'd done a good job on the ground. We'd seen the video over and over quite a few times, so that we knew what they wanted us to do. We just wanted to make sure that it was actually like that when we got there. We weren't sure the actual portable full restraint locations would be exactly right. The first pair were exactly right. Only one of the 4 had to be adjusted. But the actual task turned out to be just like the video, and we were glad it worked out just as expected.
Stephen Young with SpaceflightNow.com for Commander Shepard again. There's been quite a bit of a debate down here about the wisdom of redocking the Progress, and I'm wondering if the Alpha crew has been invited to give their input into that decision-making process, and whether you have or not, I'm wondering what your opinion is on that particular matter.
We told Soup that we're going to do it. Let me let Sergey or Yuri add to that if they'd like to.
I think, again, our flight is new in from many point of view, and braking Progress in new mode when we have several braking systems work in different configurations is also a learning experience. We had problem during first braking ground. I think they found a reason why it happened such way, so they made some corrections, but now we need, as in every test flight, to flight prove that this mode will work properly. So I think it's additional task for us, but it's beneficial for our program.
Todd Halverson of Space.com for either Joe Tanner or Bloomer. You guys had a pretty cool photo op planned for the fly around, but you've kind of lost your Cargo Bay IMAX camera. I'm wondering what equipment you have left at your disposal and what type of images you think you're going to be able to capture during the fly around tomorrow.
Well, I think it'll be awesome. We have 3 cameras on the outside of the shuttle that we can use to take pictures of video as we're going around. We also have inside 2 Hasselblads, and we have the 35 millimeter as well. And when we do the fly around, we'll be looking out the overhead window, and we'll have the opportunity to take pictures both as the station is coming into the view of the Earth, and also as it's leaving the view of the Earth and going back with a black background of space. So I think we'll be able to come back with some pretty awesome pictures. And we also have some pretty big lenses on those cameras, so we can kind of pick whatever type of picture we want.
Bill Harwood, CBS, with a question from Mark Garneau, and I think this is the last question from the Cape. What are your impressions of the station as you went inside? The sound level, the brightness, just the quality of life as you move around the outpost. What were your thoughts? How did it feel to you?
Well, it was a great experience coming into the station because it was my first time, and fortunately I'd seen all of the modules. I went over to Russia about 2 years ago and had a chance to go inside the service module and have a good look around on a couple of occasions, and I'd seen the node at the Kennedy Space Center, so I had a pretty good idea, and I've been looking at it from outside the front windows on the orbiter. It's very bright. Some of the colors are a little bit different in the Russian segment. It's nice to have that contrast. It's a little bit longer than I had imagined when I floated all the way through. You can really have a good run at trying to fly like Superman for about 25 yards, I guess. But no big surprises, just very nice, and it looks like a home.
Alpha Endeavour, this is Houston ACR. Please stand by for a voice check from the Canadian Space Agency.
Alpha Endeavour, this is the Canadian Space Agency. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
Hi to the team of STS 97. My name is Réal Damour. Monsieur Tanner, Noriega, Bloomfield, and Jet. Thanks for your hospitality in Houston a few weeks ago. I have a question for, of course, Marc Garneau. Marc Garneau, vous avez été 16 ans au sein du corps des astronautes. Vous avez vécu une grosse expérience, une grosse responsabilité au cours de cette mission. Est-ce qu'on peut connaître vos états d'âme?
Un moment, Réal, je vais traduire. Réal, c'est un rêve pour moi de pouvoir venir visiter la station spatiale. En 1984, quand j'ai volé à bord du Challenger, j'ai entendu parler de la station spatiale internationale. À ce moment-là, c'était tout au début du programme, c'était une conception seulement. Et puis, j'ai décidé à ce moment-là que je voudrais vraiment venir visiter la station et contribuer à sa construction. Alors aujourd'hui, c'est vraiment un rêve qui se réalise pour moi. Non seulement j'ai pu contribuer à la construction de la station, mais aussi finalement on a ouvert l'écoutille et j'ai pu visiter cette station. Alors je suis absolument bouleversé par l'expérience. C'est une façon magnifique de faire cette expérience spatiale.
Geneviève Beauchemin with CTV News, also with a question for Mr. Garneau. You've been in space several times in the past, and I'm wondering what the biggest change that you've seen since you were first in space has been.
Well, space doesn't change all that much, but of course your experience on each of your missions is very different, and what is dramatically different for me on this mission is that I've had the chance to visit Station Alpha. On my previous missions, I went up in the shuttle for about 8 or 10 days and did some experiments and then came home. This time we're coming up to the International Space Station, and not only are we contributing to an element to its assembly, but we're also getting the chance, for the first time, this is a historical moment, to visit an inhabited space station. So I think that it is a very important turning point in mankind's space program, and I'm glad to have had the opportunity to be here for it.
Armand Dubois, Réseau TVA. Bonjour Marc. D'abord, au nom de tous tes compatriotes, félicitations pour le travail exemplaire accompli là-haut. Nous en sommes tous très fiers. Avant ton départ, Marc, tu as évoqué cette possibilité que ce soit le dernier vol spatial auquel tu participes. Est-ce qu'on peut imaginer maintenant, compte tenu que cette mission, comme tu viens de le dire, a été bouleversante et palpitante, que tu puisses revoir cette décision et qui sait peut-être participer à un éventuel équipage de la Station spatiale internationale?
Merci beaucoup. En fait, même si cette expérience est magnifique, je crois que ça va être mon dernier vol d'une façon ou d'une autre. À un moment donné dans sa vie, il faut faire des changements, et même si je sais que ça va me faire de la peine de ne plus pouvoir venir faire des vols dans l'espace, je vous assure que je suis en train de savourer l'expérience que je vis en ce moment. Et je vais en retenir des mémoires pour le restant de ma vie. Mais le moment est venu de tourner le coin.
Robson from CBC News. Mr. Garneau, I'd like to ask you along the same lines. You've had a lot of experiences during 3 space travels, but are there any jobs left up there that you still wish you had had the chance to do before ending your space career, like a spacewalk?
Well, I'm afraid my chances for a spacewalk ran out. Carlos and Joe did such a wonderful job that I never stood a chance right from the beginning. But you can't be greedy in life, and I've fulfilled just about all of the things that I would have ever dreamt of, well, even many that I didn't even dream that I could ever do. So I'm very, very happy to have been able to fly on 3 occasions, especially to finish off with an opportunity to visit Station Alpha, because I think this is the beginning of something very, very big. And when I'm old and rickety and sitting in a rocking chair, I can think back at the time that I was involved with the beginning of Station Alpha.
Russell Ducasse de TQS. Monsieur Garneau, vous avez aidé en fait à déployer les panneaux solaires. C'est une structure assez gigantesque. Et lorsqu'on parle de structure gigantesque, c'est un travail également minutieux. Structure qui coûte 600 millions de dollars. Lorsque vous le déployez, lorsque vous déployez la structure et oups, il y a un problème, à quoi vous pensez à ce moment-là?
Naturellement, on est un peu nerveux avant de déployer la structure avec le bras canadien, en fait, mais je peux vous dire que j'avais beaucoup d'aide à bord de la navette. Je parle principalement de l'équipage, alors ils étaient là pour m'assister au cas où il y aurait des problèmes. On a eu un entraînement excellent durant le cours de 2 ans avant cette mission. Alors, je me sentais préparé et les outils que j'avais en main, c'est-à-dire le bras canadien et aussi le système de vision spatiale qui nous aidait à faire le travail avec précision, ont fonctionné remarquablement bien. Alors, j'avais beaucoup d'aide avec moi et même si j'étais je sais que mon cœur battait un peu vite, avec tout l'entraînement que j'avais reçu, j'ai pu faire la tâche sans difficulté.
Singer and CFCF TV. Somebody stole the thunder, asked my question just a few moments ago, but if you had to do it again, this is your last mission, what would you do differently? Would you spend more time doing photography, having some quiet moments, looking at the stars? What would you do differently if you could go up again and if you had the opportunity?
Well, you summarized it very well. I think that, and that's what I'm trying to do whenever we have a little bit of spare time now, because I know it's my last mission, is to try to take in the experience, to absorb it. So whenever I have a little bit of free time, I like to just sit there by the window and look out and think about what this whole experience of being in space is about, and to listen to some music that I brought with me, and to basically ponder the big questions, because this is the kind of place where the big questions seem to be important, and so whenever we do have a little bit of spare time, I think that kind of thing happens to just about all the crews.
Hi, I'm Tanya Churchmuth from Global Television. Mr. Garneau, once again. You'd mentioned earlier on that you were a bit nervous during one of your operations. Can you explain to us why you were so nervous?
Well, because I was moving around a very big piece of space hardware, a very heavy piece of hardware, so you have to do things very slowly, and an extremely expensive piece of hardware, certainly multiple times my annual salary. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't bang it into the station. The idea was to stop 3 inches above where it was going to be docked to the station. And when you're moving a large mass like that on the end of the arm, you don't want to overshoot your aim point, and you have to sort of anticipate where to stop, because the arm has a little bit of bend in it and a little flex in it. Fortunately, as I said on the previous occasions, there were 2 of my fellow crew members waiting at that interface and guiding me down, and also 2 other crewmates backing me up on the flight deck. So really, there was no reason to be nervous, but it's sort of a natural emotion.
Peter Ray from Broadcast News. Mark, you talked about the big question, and this is something I think a lot of astronauts have thought about in the past. Has this done anything from a religious point of view? What has it done for faith and stuff like that?
Well, I'm sort of a quiet religious person, but I think that space tends to intensify all of your emotions. It's that kind of an environment. It's a unique perspective, and I think that when you're up here, you can't help but be moved in a more intense way than you are perhaps in the ordinary experiences of your daily life. And for that reason, you think about those kinds of things. And as far as my religious beliefs are concerned, I think probably the space experience tends to make me feel more strongly about it. Everybody reacts differently to it, but I think it is a place where everything is a little bit more intensified.
Bonjour, ici Marie Tuzon de la presse canadienne. La mission n'est pas totalement terminée. Monsieur Garneau, qu'est-ce qu'il vous reste à faire? Je pense à l'entrée, vous avez des responsabilités?
Oui, il nous reste quelques jours dans la mission. Demain, on va dire bonjour à la station et se séparer et revenir éventuellement lundi prochain, je crois bien, au sol. Je travaille sur le pont de l'orbiteur pour le retour à la Terre et en tant qu'ingénieur, si vous voulez, de bord, je suis là pour appuyer le commandant et le pilote durant la rentrée. Alors, une bonne partie de mon entraînement a été dévouée à cette phase-là de la mission, même si c'est une phase qui ne dure que quelques heures. Alors, c'est probablement ma grosse responsabilité à partir de maintenant.
Pour Marc Garneau, Réal d'Amour, RDI, à nouveau. Marc Garneau, si vous aviez à faire un résumé de cette mission, qu'est-ce que vous allez retenir comme point fort?
Tout d'abord, certainement, l'expérience d'avoir pu visiter la Station spatiale internationale, la station Alpha. Et deuxièmement, le fait que j'ai pu, pour une deuxième fois, me servir du bras canadien et du système de vision spatiale canadien, et que ces deux systèmes ont fonctionné si bien dans une tâche qui est vraiment très, très importante dans la construction de la station spatiale. Et aujourd'hui, on a le résultat, quelque chose d'absolument merveilleux. Quand on regarde à travers les hublots de la navette, on peut voir ces deux grands panneaux solaires qui sont en or et qui sont maintenant capables de fournir toute la puissance et encore plus que la station dont la station a besoin. Alors, la mémoire de ces panneaux solaires quand ils se sont ouverts et puis aussi la mémoire de ma visite à bord de la station spatiale.
Alpha Endeavour, this is Houston ACR. Please stand by for the Discovery Channel.
Alpha Endeavour, this is the Discovery Channel. How do you hear me?
Discovery Alpha has you loud and clear.
Okay, this is Kathy Abbott and last minute substitution for Len Cannon. I'm going to start off with the Alpha crew, some of the questions from our Discovery Channel viewers. While you were sequestered in the space station, do you ever get claustrophobic feelings, and how do you deal with them?
As far as being on the space station, I've been on a lot of ships and submarines, very much like that environment. It feels like a place I've been before, so I am very comfortable on board.
Is it a little roomier than what you'd expect in like your experiences in the space shuttle?
Yeah, a little.
You've got one of the best views that can be imagined. What do you see when you look outside your window? What do you notice?
Well, we get to watch the Earth go by 15 times a day, 15 and a half, and when we get time to look at it, it's very enjoyable.
Sergey, you said in one of our earlier interviews, you talked about how you got to see nighttime and daytime and winter and summer all within 90 minutes. Could you reiterate that for us? I mean, what is one of the most amazing things that you see when you look out the window?
Well, to be honest with you, the most amazing thing I see when I look out the window, I'm looking at the Earth and a lot of places around the planet that look kind of strange. And I'm thinking there isn't any good reason why we should be looking only at Earth. We should be going other places and looking at other planets to go. And I think that's part of the reason why we're building space stations and part of the reason why we need to keep doing what we're doing.
Well, I guess to go back to the other part of my question, I mean, I think it would amaze most people to know that, that you get to see a sunrise every 90 minutes while you're on station.
I was, but this is my fifth flight, and flying on this station is very similar to the experience I had before on Mir station. So for me, it's another interesting thing. Between my long duration flights, I see some changes on the ground. See that some towns and cities became bigger, and we have more lights in one places. We have new roads, so this is another interesting experience.
What do you do for relaxation and entertainment? Do you have time for it?
We have some hobbies up here. We like making things out of nothing, making things out of spare parts. We have some recreational equipment. We watch some movies up here. We're pretty happy.
In comparison to your timelines for instance, shuttle or for the Mir, do you have any time to do things on your own, or is everything very strictly scheduled?
Our schedule to date has been very active. I would not hesitate to use the word tough. We're hoping that with Endeavor's success on this mission, we'll get a little more free time, and I can answer that better in a couple of weeks.
What do you miss most from, and I know you've answered this in an earlier question, but if you could tell us again, what do you miss most from your earthly life? Any particular creature comforts?
Well, I miss being at home. I miss being able to take a jog down the road, do all those things that you can do on Earth that you can't do up here.
Sergey, Yuri, do you have anything you particularly miss?
The same idea, like that. Miss for family, for friends. Not for dogs because I don't have it.
Okay, well, and then I'd like to ask a few questions of the shuttle crew. First question for Carlos and Joe. Again, you've addressed this in the press conference, but if you could do it for me again. You were really able to fix those cables on one of the solar arrays in record time. Was that a function of great last-minute planning, luck, or a little bit of both?
I think it was a function of a great job they did on the ground preparing for this. They worked in Sunnyvale on actual flight hardware to try out the procedure. They took it into the water to verify the positions and how we would interact with the blanket. And we got a chance to talk with the people that had worked on the procedure and see videos. So we were very comfortable with the procedure we went through. So even though we hadn't trained it, we felt as comfortable as we could be with, as we had with the other tasks we actually had trained.
You weren't at all surprised that you kind of nailed it first go around?
Well, personally, I was confident that it was going to work because I trusted the hardware and I'd seen the video enough times that I knew exactly where we were going to pull on the wire and how Joe was going to wind it, so I was pretty comfortable with it.
This is for anyone in the crew. The deployment of the solar arrays must have been an incredible sight to see. I mean, could any one of you describe what it was like to see those unfurl for the first time?
Well, for the first array deploy, I obviously had the best view because I was outside, and we got a good recording from my helmet cam. That deploy was a little more dynamic than we really wanted, but what a tremendous sight it was to see the arrays and the panels unfurl. It was just absolutely amazing.
Our program has been discussing a lot about the sheer number of spacewalks planned for station construction. I'm wondering, from your perspective, are they in any way harder or riskier than historical EVAs, given that, this is our first stab at station construction in 25 years?
No, I think that the work that we have done to prepare for a station EVA has been extensive, and the tool development has helped us to accomplish things with, as we demonstrated yesterday, with zero training on a task. We are skill-based trained. We spend enough time in the water and studying the systems that we're prepared to handle just about any problem that comes up. And with the help from the team on the ground, with the particulars, all of the people, the men and women that we send into space to do EVA now are trained to work with minimal preparation, as well as the task, of course, that they trained for, in our case, for 3.5 years. You probably noticed as we were doing these tasks that we had the procedures pretty well memorized. We had less than 12 hours to study for that last one, and as evidenced by the training that we got from our training team and the work we had in the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, we are prepared to do that task even though we'd never trained it. And I think you're going to see that happen over and over in the station time frame. But the crews are going to be so well prepared and so knowledgeable and so skill-based trained that they can go out there and do whatever the ground asks them to do.
Tools, and I know that tools and procedures have really undergone extensive redesign in order to build the station. Are there any particular tools or procedures or, that have really made a difference, for your job, and particularly on the EVAs?
Well, I think Carlos and I both fell in love with the body restraint tether. It's a semi-rigid tether that you can use to stabilize your body position and free up both hands to do work. Also, you can carry very large objects. These foot restraints that we carry around on Earth weigh 60 or 70 pounds, and you can put one of those on we call it a BRT. We mentioned that frequently about our BRT. Put that on a BRT and swing it around behind you and translate like you didn't even have it there. Both hands are free, and you can move around very easily.
Do you ever lose sight of the fact while you're working that you're in one of the most deadly environments known to man? Do you ever dwell on that while you're actually out there?
Well, that's why you're very careful in how you do your job. You know the system you're working with, you know your suit, you know the environment, and you just always very cautious and slow and easy was what I kept repeating to myself, and I think Joe did too.
I have got one more question for Bill Shepard and his crew. How do you feel about the next 3 months? Are you looking forward to it? Are there any particular challenges that you face now that you've got 1 month under your belt?
Well, I'm kind of hoping it will be 3 months. Now, we're looking forward to really taking some time and having the opportunity to organize what's been a fairly hectic month on station. We got a lot of gear to put away and keep track of, and we'll be ready to take the lab on board and get ready to do some science, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, well, that's all I've got from the Discovery Channel.
Alpha Endeavor, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you very much.